Hey friends, welcome to another StudyNT Skills Series episode. My name is Amy Hetherington and these videos are designed to help international students in Darwin with their confidence, employability and connection to the community. This episode is about motivation, how to get up and into your work and how to avoid procrastination. Before we get into it, make sure that you download that worksheet. It's in the link below. The worksheet's really useful to put some of the things from this video into practice and to help make sure that you're actually actively thinking about the lessons in the program. Motivation is what drives us. It's what makes us get up and get into something with enthusiasm. And we all know what it feels like to be motivated. It's like that little fire in your belly that makes you feel great and powerful and that you can achieve things. Motivation is an incredible tool for you studying in the Northern Territory, but also for you finding careers and keeping optimistic. Motivation is one of those qualities that if you have it, you're going to do really, really well. But if you don't have it, or maybe you lack a little bit of motivation, how can you increase it? This video is going to look at about 6 different concepts on how to improve your motivation, reduce procrastination, and start making you feel a little more pumped and ready to go.
Be kind to yourself, friends. The fact is, no one feels motivated all the time. Sometimes the motivation just isn't there. And here's the thing. One of the best ways to feel less motivated is to worry about how you're not feeling motivated. So don't pressure yourself to feel motivated. Be kind. You deserve it.
One of my big tips is to remember why you do what you do. Sounds a bit convoluted, doesn't it? But the more you understand why you're doing what you're doing, what was the purpose or the drive behind signing up for it and getting involved, that will help with your motivation. So for example, if you're studying at the moment and say you're studying accounting, why did you pick that? What was the reason behind it? What drove you? What was the thing that motivated you into that space? When you can understand your why and your purpose and that driver, you can focus in on that at those times when you're not feeling motivated. Maybe when you're procrastinating or feeling a little bit lazy. Focusing on the why allows us to reignite that spark that started things. Figure out a compelling purpose. When you have a hold of that, you can use that as your inspiration over here. So those times when you're feeling a little bit low, you look to that and you go, that's right, I signed up for accounting because I want to help people with financial issues, or I love numbers or solving problems, or this is one of my skills or talents, or it runs in the family. Your why and your motivator, hold it here and look towards that at times when you're feeling a little bit low. When you use words like I have to do something or I should do something, you're not going to feel as motivated to if you say things like I've chosen to do this or I want to do this. Focusing on the why allows you to reframe that entire conversation with yourself. If you check out the worksheet now, there's a great activity on how to understand what your why is. By nature, human beings are creatures of habit. We like to do things within our comfort zones or with some sort of structure or with some sort of routine. It helps us feel more in control and more comfortable. Same goes for your motivation and your work. If you have routine, structure, consistency, you're going to feel more comfortable to do that work. Habits are powerful things. Once you're in a habit to do something, you can really get into a zone of achieving it. It's like people that exercise in the mornings that really, really enjoy it. Because they've gotten into a routine and done that consistently over time, their bodies and their minds look forward to that process because it's a part of their lifestyle. You can do the same with your study and your work by building a practice or a routine around the way that you operate day to day. Now look, it can take about 3 months for something to develop into a routine, so be patient and also be disciplined. If you can push through those times when you try to get out of those routines or break that structure, you'll actually create the foundations of something really healthy for you. So give yourself that time. Repeat that practice and that process, and it'll become more organic and natural for you. And that'll help your motivation. Some tips that I'd suggest for helping with structure if you're somebody that maybe lacks a little bit of motivation. Start your work or study day with something really meaningful to you. Focus on something really productive and really meaningful first up. So the first hour or two block of your study, really hone in on something that's meaningful and close to your why, but also something that's going to make you feel good to get done. And you know what? Actually starting an activity or working on something can actually release that motivation inside of you. A lot of our procrastination tends to be in the lead up to getting started. We'll go make a cup of tea, we'll go and clean something, we'll go do this. If you are really, really disciplined and just get started, that will release that motivation out of you and actually get the ball rolling. So try not to make excuses at the beginning of your work. Try to get right into it straight away. Also helps to work on things that you're good at first. Small achievements or successes will release dopamine and a good feeling in your body so that you're more motivated to continue on that track. So if there's a subject that you're better at, start with that. Or if there's something that you really enjoy doing, start with that. Start there, because as you achieve one of those things, it'll make you feel more motivated to continue. The other thing that helps is to regularly review your process. So if you're working on a bigger assignment and you're chipping away bit by bit by bit, have something to visualize that. Maybe on a board in front of you or a piece of paper, show how close you're getting towards the end. Because being able to see that progress is going to make you feel more motivated. You'll get from a third through to 2/3 through, and then you're almost at the end. So visualize your progress and try to have a regular space and time for your study. A bit of a sanctuary, that area that's just for you for your work. Make it somewhere you enjoy going as well, because that'll really help with that motivation. If you check out the worksheet now, there's a really good checklist on how to create a productive space to work in.
Hey, are you a bit of a procrastinator? Pretty good at putting off work and finding distractions? Don't worry, a lot of us are. One major cause of procrastination is that the task seems overwhelming. So one thing that helps is to chunk down. Break each task down into smaller chunks. Then, when you complete 1 or 2 chunks, reward yourself.
Our brains take in knowledge and work better when they're enjoying the process of what they're doing. The fun part of our brain is next to that long-term memory part of our brain, and it's more likely to sink in if you're enjoying what you're doing in the learning or studying process. Here are some suggestions on how to make your work and study a little bit more fun. Find a way to link the things that you're procrastinating about with things that you enjoy. You might play your favorite band when you're studying because that releases that sense of joy because you really love listening to that music, and it'll be connected to that thing that you've been procrastinating from. So then the two become associated in your mind, and you're more likely to look forward to that thing that you would have otherwise tried to avoid. Play with tempo. So if you're doing a study session, try to think about things in terms of pace and tempo. You might work really hard for 20 minutes and then have a break, or then work for an hour and then have a break, or have certain music playing at a certain speed while you're doing something. If you change up tempo and add some variety into what you're doing, your brain is going to be less likely to chill and more likely to see it as a game, yeah? Gamify it. Add tempo, add times, add competitions. Those kind of things will help with that motivation and the fun of what you're doing. Another way to gamify things is to include a mate in what you're doing. Maybe you're in different study spaces, but you have a Facebook chat happening at the same time, and you both start a timer together and get into your study. And then once the timer's done, you join back into that little chat and have a bit of a congratulate or meme fest or gift fest or whatever it is that makes you laugh and feel good afterwards. Including a mate in the process can make it a little bit more fun. It helps as well to know that somebody else is doing the same thing as you, so then you don't feel so alone and your motivation is likely to increase. Use your favourite stationery for a subject that you might be procrastinating from. Your favourite pens, your favourite colours, all of those kind of things. Save them for something that you need a little bit more motivation for. Sometimes that's just enough to help boost that motivation. And use rewards. Our brain can associate rewards with activities that we don't really enjoy to a point where we start looking forward to those activities. So if you complete a good block of study or you finish an assignment, get yourself something to celebrate. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but just doing something that rewards you for your efforts will start to boost that motivation and your own sense of satisfaction in the work that you're doing. It might even be catching up with a friend as a reward, or going for a walk through nature, or something that brings you joy. Build those rewards into your study program, because that is really where motivation comes from. Goals are great because they give you something to focus on and a way to kind of see the bigger picture of what you're doing. Again, it links to that why. Why did you get involved? A goal also allows you to go, all right, what am I doing this for? What is the end story? What's the future look like for doing this work? Goals can help be a motivator because you look forward to achieving them, or it's something that you really want. Sometimes goals can feel a little overwhelming because they're so huge, because we've set these big goals that we're really keen to achieve. Sometimes it's even better to make smaller, little bite-sized goals that lead to that bigger one over time. As you achieve each of those goals, you get to tick them off and you get that sense of satisfaction that's likely to increase your motivation and reduce your procrastination. Every time you achieve one of those little bite-sized goals, you feel good. And when you feel good, you're more likely to go back into that work with some optimism. And optimism is actually quite powerful for your motivation. If you check out the worksheet now, there's a great activity on how to set goals. Resilience gives people the strength to get through hardship. It's kind of like the fuel we have in the tank to get us through something that's challenging. The more we work on our resilience, the more fuel we have to push through those times when we're being challenged. Having good resilience helps with your motivation because you have more capacity to get through something that isn't that fun or might be challenging for you. So working on your resilience is a really useful thing to help with motivation. Resilience isn't something that you can just hope for or work on for one day and it's fine. Resilience is a long-term skill and something that you need to keep filling up. Again, fuel in a car, you can't just fill it up once and just go for a drive forever. You still need to fill that car up. Resilience works exactly the same. In the last episode, we talked a little bit about self-confidence, and resilience was covered in there. But one thing I find really useful for building resilience is to look at things like gratitude. Gratitude is one of those emotions that fills you with a warmth and a sense of positivity. I love gratitude as a way to reframe how I feel about things. It stockpiles that fuel of resilience for me. Being grateful for what you have, for what you've achieved, and for what you can potentially do is a great humbling activity that can motivate you in what you're doing. So maybe look at keeping a gratitude journal where every day or every week or every fortnight, depending on what works for you, you write down something you're grateful for. Also, focusing on gratitude helps reduce your fears because you can focus on the things that are in your control and really celebrate those things. It builds up that resilience and again will help if you're having a time of struggle. If you check out the worksheet now, there's a really great activity on how to build that resilience and look at those gratitude opportunities.
Want a way to feel gratitude, build your connection to the community, and increase your positive feelings about yourself and your place in the world? Volunteer. There are heaps of ways you can get involved in volunteering and helping the community. And volunteering lets you do good for others, which provides a natural sense of accomplishment. And the better you feel about yourself, the more likely you are to have a positive view of your life and your future goals.
My final point as a way to build your motivation is to let other people come on the journey with you. Don't do it alone. Other people's encouragement is one of the most effective boosts to your motivation and self-esteem. Let other people feel proud of you. Let them know what's going on and what you're trying to achieve so that when you do succeed at one of those goals, they're there to celebrate. And they also know when they need to come and help if you're struggling. People won't know unless you tell them, so include people in that journey. The other thing as well is if you say what one of your goals are to somebody or write it down, what you're doing is you're making that goal real. You're making a promise, or you're at least putting it out there to say, this is something that I want. If you keep it to yourself, it kind of never really exists more than just in your headspace. So allow other people to be a part of those goal setting, so then they can be there to support you and to be really proud of you when you achieve those things. And if you're an international student that's just come to Darwin, there are lots of people the same as you that are looking for that kind of support. Reach out and find your fellow international students or even local students, because the bigger your network is and the wider that support, the more likely someone's going to be available when you need that help. Okay, mates, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching the StudyNT Skills series. I hope there's been something useful for you in this episode or maybe in the other 5. If you haven't seen them yet, please go back and have a look. And if you need any help for your study, head to the StudyNT website. My name's Amy Hetherington. It's been a delight talking to you. I'll see you around Darwin. Take care. Bye.